Well, hello there, you faithful few, and welcome back to DMS Adventures, where we do research happily to help out your family. Yeah, so one of the most challenging things about trying to get your family of 3 or 4 out on a backpacking trip is finding a good shelter that works. There are so many things to consider: the amount of room that's inside it, how much it weighs, how easy it is to put up. Lots of things to take into consideration when making that choice, not the least of which is price. But first, we're going to show you 3 honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list, but are still reasonable choices. Now, the first one is the Marmot Tungsten 4-person tent. Now, the reason we rejected that one was because it was over 9 pounds, coming at 9 pounds 4 ounces, which is just a little much for backpacking. But it was one of only 2 tents that actually came with a footprint. The next one is the Klymit Maxfield 4. Now, we rejected that one as it came in at $530 and only had a peak height of about 45 inches. However, it was a very unique design, had a unique stow bag, and had very large vestibules. The last honorable mention is the Mountainsmith Genesee 4. Now, we rejected this one just because it has a slightly higher price and weaker specs than another Mountainsmith that did make the list. However, it does come with 2 doors and 2 vestibules. So on to our top 5 recommendations for family backpacking tents. Now, sadly, we don't own any of these, as some of them are pretty expensive. I would love, if anybody wants to send them to me, I'd be happy to review them. I can't give any firsthand knowledge, but we did find a lot of good information online. So the 6 criteria that we looked at were pack size, water performance, square area of living space, peak height, weight, and of course, price. Now, the reason why we're looking at 6 different criteria is all of you faithful few and others out there are going to have different reasons for making a purchase or a decision. All right, let's go ahead and introduce the 5 contenders. We have the Hyperlite Ultimid 4, the Big Agnes Copper Spur UL 4, the Kelty Dirt Motel 4, the Mountainsmith Bear Creek 4, and finally, the Trekker 3. Now, if pack size is your highest criteria, just to know whether it'll fit in your backpack or not, here's how the rundown goes for them. Now, the Ultimid 4 couldn't find enough information to be able to list it, so I'm just listing that one first. Then the Copper Spur 4 comes in at 7 by 21 inches. The Mountainsmith Bear Creek 4 comes in at 8 by 19 inches. The Dirt Motel 4 comes in at a pretty compact 7.5 inches by 16 inches. And lastly, the Trekker 3 will pack up to a size of 8 by 15. Now on to whether these tents are going to keep you dry out into the backcountry. Now, I have a lot of experience with the Trekker 3, and I'm putting it in last place because the website doesn't actually give any info on the hydrostatic head rating. But just from experience, I know that unless you waterproof it and seal the seams, you will get water inside. The Big Agnes Copper Spur has a rating for both the fly and the tent floor at 1200 millimeters hydrostatic head. Basically, all that means is if you put a tube of water right on the fabric at about 4 feet, then the water pressure will start pushing through that fabric. And what that translates to in real world experience is how easy it is for driving hard rain to make it through the fabric. Next up, the Dirt Motel 4 has a fly rating of 1500 millimeters and a floor rating of 3000 millimeters. The Bear Creek 4 has an oppressive rating of 2000 millimeters on the fly and 5000 millimeters on the floor. Then finally, the Ultimid 4, it's made out of Dyneema, so it claims to be 100% waterproof. And the claims on all these tents are that they are seam sealed, even the Trekker 3, and we know we had problems with that. Next up is peak height. So if you like to have a lot of headroom while you're in the tent, this will be the order of how these tents rank. The Dirt Motel 4 comes in at just under 4 feet, 46 inches. The Copper Spur UL 4 has 50 inches of headroom. The Bear Creek 4 has a pretty impressive 56-inch peak height, especially for a dome tent. Then the Ultimid 4, being a teepee style, kind of like the Trekker 3 there, it has a 75-inch peak height right there in the middle. But best of all is the Trekker 3 at 80 inches. I can stand full height right there in the middle up against the pole, and it's nice to be able to stretch your back when you need to. Now we're starting to get into what most people would consider the most important, talking about living area. So the Kelty Dirt Motel comes in at 55.5 square feet of space on the interior, plus 2 9-square-foot vestibules, for a total of 73.5 square feet. Next up is the Big Agnes Copper Spur 4. It comes in with a floor space of 57 square feet, plus 2 14-square-foot vestibules, which is pretty large. That brings it up to a total of 85 square feet. Not only that, but the Copper Spur is the only tent on this list that has the additional feature of being able to kind of put the fly in like a porch mode. Next is the Trekker 3 here with a interior space of 64.5 square feet, along with a 11-square-foot vestibule in the front, for a total of 75.5 square feet. Then the Bear Creek 4 has a pretty impressive 70 square feet of floor space, plus a 12-square-foot vestibule in the front of it, for a total of 82 square feet. Then the best amount of area, not including vestibules, is the Hyperlite Ultimid 4, coming in at 70.8 square feet of space. Now, to my knowledge, there is no vestibule on the Ultimid 4. So most interior living space goes to the Ultimid 4. However, the most available space for yourself, your family, and their gear would be the Big Agnes Copper Spur UL4. All right, really getting down to the nitty-gritty now. It's the weight. So coming in dead last is the Mountainsmith Bear Creek 4 at 7 pounds, 2 ounces. But for this tent, you can spread that weight around because you got the tent body, you got the stakes, you got the fly, and you have the poles. So you can spread that weight around to the other people in your family. Then the Kelty Dirt Motel 4 comes in at 6 pounds and 14 ounces. Now the Trekker 3 here comes in at 5 pounds and 11 ounces, but that does include the pole structure that you need to get that set up in the middle. And I want to just note that if you are a trekking pole hiker, then you just take your trekking pole apart and use this piece on both of your trekking poles. If you're not a trekking pole hiker, you can actually take your handle part off, leave that at home, just bring these 2 pieces. These are about 5 ounces each, and so that's 10 ounces total. And then you have the connector pole, which adds about 3 more ounces. Then the Big Agnes Copper Spur UL4 comes in at 5 pounds, 10 ounces. Then lastly, the Ultimid 4 from Hyperlite comes in at an amazing 3 pounds, 3 ounces. Now, as awesome as that sounds, wait till I get to the end. Now for the Ultimid, you would either add 2 trekking poles to your weight, or they do have a carbon fiber pole option that is 10 ounces. Even so, you're still under 4 pounds for a 4-person tent. And between the wind, the planes, and the mowers, I hope y'all can hear me. All right, here we go. The last criteria, the most important for some, price. So I want to preface this by saying that the Hyperlite Ultimid 4 is made out of Dyneema, but total price for that setup is $1,600. The way you get the Ultimid 4 is a 2-piece system. The first is the outer shell, that is $1,000. Then you actually get an interior mesh that fits on the inside of that, and that comes in at $600. Just for frame of reference, you could buy 16 of those for the same price. So the Big Agnes Copper Spur UL4 comes in at $700, and if you want the footprint, that'll soak you an additional $100. But with that footprint, you do have the option to do the quick fly setup. Then the Kelty Dirt Motel 4 comes in at a slightly more reasonable $380. In second place is the Mountainsmith Bear Creek 4, which comes in at a very reasonable $150. I think it typically lists for around 200, but I've been able to find it in multiple places for 150. I just think that is one of the best valued tents on this list. And then finally we get to the Trekker 3. That currently lists for only $105, and that includes 2 carbon fiber and aluminum trekking poles and the connector pole that you need to put it together. So obviously that is the one that we went with, and we've been super happy with it once we got it waterproofed. We've slept in that in 10 of our 11 backpacking trips, and we've used it probably 2 or 3 times here in the backyard. We've used it 2 or 3 times just doing some car camping, and it's held up just great. All right, so what are our recommendations for ye faithful few? Well, if money isn't too big of a deal and you're just wanting to get a real high quality large tent for your family to sleep in, I'd recommend the Big Agnes Copper Spur UL4. I would love to get my hands on that tent. You get a lot of wide open space. Those vestibules are super large for all of your gear. There are stow pockets and lots of places to put your things on the inside. And just the way you can put that Rainfly up into a porch mode is just really cool, and I think would be super fun to have out on a backpacking trip. However, if you are on a budget or you're new to backpacking and don't know if you really want to get into it yet, I highly recommend the Trekker 3. At only $100, you can probably find it cheaper if you look around. It is a great option if you're willing to spend the time to seal the seams and spray the fabric. Now, we've done a video on that to show you how if you want to, but just for the weight, the amount of room that you get, and how easy this thing is to put up, it is a fantastic option in our opinion. In fact, let me show you real quick how easy this thing is to put up in a quick hyperlapse. Well, that's it, you faithful few. Hey, if you have any questions about the Trekker 3 or any of the data that I presented here today, do not hesitate to leave a question down in the comments, and I can try to help you out as best I can. Hope this helps some family get out there in the backcountry. Appreciate you watching, and you all have a great day.